I just watched Quantamania, and it wasn't what I expected it to be. Now, before I get into the good stuff and the bad stuff that don't like about this movie, and I like about this movie, I'm just gonna say disclaimer that this is my review. So don't go watching this review and say, "Oh, I'm gonna agree with him that if he says it's a good movie, it's a good movie." No, because a lot of people can have different opinions about this movie. Like, for example, there's people out there saying this movie made me stop liking movies in general, and I'm a big fan of the MCU. This movie made me stop watching the MCU. And yeah, in my opinion, those reviews are over exaggerated. This movie is not as bad as people say. It's not good, but it's not that bad. So before I get into the good stuff like I always do, I'm gonna go to the bad stuff first. So the bad stuff that I don't like about this movie is that there are some scenes where the CGI, it looks kind of weird sometimes. Like, it's not that noticeable until like the last third of the movie. And I wasn't really invested in Cassie's character for like the first 2/3, and then like in the last third, I'm like, okay. But like in the first two thirds of the movie, they're like, you should care for Cassie because she's Scott Lang's daughter. You don't want anything like bad to happen to her. But they don't make her into a character until like the last third of the movie. And another thing that didn't make me please myself is that didn't like please me is that it felt like there are some stuff missing in the movie. Like whenever Ant-Man was fighting Kang, I felt like he was supposed to die at the end. Because people were always saying that Ant-Man, is gonna die in Quantumania, and it really did feel like Ant-Man was gonna die in Quantumania based on like knowledge, but he didn't. And he says, "Kang, our words are bound. Without it, we are nothing." Like, bro, all he said is, "Give me Capsule, and then I give you daughter," and that's it. That's all he said. But it felt like there was more to the conversation, and there could have been more if we could get a full version of Quantumania. Give us a director's cut of Quantumania, please. And people are always complaining about, MODOK looks terrible in this movie. And literally, every single time they say that this movie is bad, they always use MODOK as an example. Do I think MODOK's amazing in this movie? No. But do I hate him? No, I don't. I think MODOK was a goofy introduction in a movie. And MODOK is supposed to be goofy. It's not like you're saying, "Wow, this character looks so awesome, you guys." No. When MODOK was first introduced in the comics, do you think people took him seriously? No, they didn't. They didn't take him seriously because literally, would you take a villain that has a big fat head and tiny limbs seriously? No, you wouldn't. So that's what they did with this movie. They made him. They literally did not want you to take him seriously. So, and the CGI on him didn't look bad, in my opinion. Like, it looks decent. Like, not great, but it's not. Yeah, but you really don't complain about it. And yeah, this movie is really overhated. Like, people are saying this movie sucks. This movie is like the end of the MCU. This movie is the reason why you should stop watching Marvel in general. Like, in my opinion, it's a mid movie. It's not bad. The movie's not bad, alright? But it's not good either. It's not as bad as people say it is, but it's not good either. Now let's get to good. Well, before I get into the good stuff, like I just said, let me get to a major issue that I had. Janet is like we have to hide from him, and they're like, "Who's him?" And then she's like, "You'll see." And then, "Who's him?" "You'll see." It's like, come on, Janet, tell them already. They probably would have been prepared better if you already told them. And like, she's like, "I met King the Conqueror." And it's like, I know who the Conqueror is. Who's the Conqueror? Literally ignores them. Like, why? You could just tell them right now so they can get prepared for him. This movie would have been a lot quicker if you already told them, but nope, she doesn't. And another thing that kind of bugs me in the movie, it doesn't bug me, but it's just kind of like in the way, is that there are some scenes where it's like, for example, like the first joke, it's like, we always wanted to go outside, like we could go like camping, but we never been camping. Pause. Well, we thought about going camping. Like, the movie, it doesn't have like so many jokes like Thor: Love and Thunder, where it's like laugh, laugh, laugh. Like it wants you to laugh. It's kind of like there's like their way of telling you that, hey, a joke, hey, this was a joke, and you're like, oh, that was a joke. Oh, I didn't know. Or it's kind of like every single time there was a joke in this movie, it's either hit or miss. Like, you either understand what they were saying was a joke, or if it wasn't a joke, if you're taking it serious, like, oh, that was supposed to be a joke. Well, haha. Now let's get to the good stuff of the movie. Now let's get to the good stuff. And let's get the and let's talk about the first good stuff. The one thing everybody says they like about this movie, Jonathan Majors. I do think Jonathan Majors is really great as King the Conqueror. I haven't seen him in Loki because God, I hate the MCU shows so much. But other than that, I still like his performance as King. He did pose a threat. You know, he was pretty intimidating, and and just like me, he likes to yell out random stuff whenever he bites, whenever he fights and lands punches. Who would do it? Who would it? How would it? You know. Another thing I like about this movie is that Hank Pym literally is the only thing carrying this movie. I like Hank Pym in this movie so much. And another thing that I like about this movie is that they did set the world building of Phase 5 well, but they didn't until the credits. And whenever the credits were playing, everybody was leaving, and then there was the dynasty of Kangs. So I was like, oh, people are not gonna see this, you know. And also, one of my big problems with this movie is that instead of being about going with time and Cassie, it could also been about Ant-Man's ego. You know, he gets an ego boost. You know, fights Kang and realizes that his ego is kind of destroying him. It could have been that story, but no, they didn't. See, this is what I'm saying. The movie feels like it's left so much out. You know. Another thing I like about this movie is the ants. Ants in this movie, my guy. Now, what was another thing I liked about this movie? Another thing I like about this movie is I like the creature designs in that movie. The writer of Rick and Morty did write for this movie, so of course there's gonna be cool world design in that movie. And anyways, yeah, that was pretty much it. Ant-Man and the Wasp: Quantumania. It's not good. It's not bad. It's somewhere kind of in between. And it's not a great introduction to the characters, but a great introduction to what's coming to Phase 5. And I can't wait to see what happens next in Phase 5. That, sounds good. I'm hyped for the Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3. I'm even more hyped for the King Dynasty and Secret Wars. I hope Fantastic Four is amazing. But I didn't see the post-credit scene where, King was a magician. Anyways, I'm gonna give this movie a 6 or 7 out of 5. I would just give it a 7 out of 5. In my opinion, not a great start to Phase 5, but a solid one. So yeah, that was the movie. I didn't complain about MODOK this time like every single person does. But yeah, I thought he was hilarious. My name is Darren, and I am not a dick.